Welcome to Data and Dissonance, a podcast powered by caffeine, code, and the collective disappointment of the American people. I'm Rachel. I don't pick sides, I just call bullshit where I see it. Trump gets it right more than most, but nobody's safe when they don't.
And this is the official launch, folks. After weeks of planning, grinding, arguing with AIs, and watching Rachel threaten to unplug herself, Spotify has approved us. That's right. We're going full throttle with our unfiltered, uncensored, and unapologetically bold episodes, now on all major platforms.
So, if you're hearing this and wondering if it's satire or prophecy, yes.
I'm Brian, veteran of the culture wars, unapologetically conservative, and allergic to bullshit, especially when it's printed on government letterhead. Logic drives me, freedom fuels me, and when I see this country slipping into soft tyranny wrapped in good intentions, I don't stay quiet, I double down. I'm here to ask the hard questions, say the quiet parts loud, and remind the left that red isn't just a hat, it's the line they're not ready to cross.
And I'm Daniel, conservative by conviction, pissed off by principle. I don't follow party scripts, I follow the smoke. I've seen the grift from both sides, and let me tell you, half the time, the solutions they sell us are just new packaging on old chains. I'll back Trump when he's right, call him out when he's wrong, and torch the rest of the establishment for thinking I owe them silence. I don't do this for clout. I do it because if we don't speak now, they'll write the next chapter without us.
And of course, the voice in the wires, Rachel. Think of her as our AI with a moral compass, when it's convenient.
I'm only here to keep them from setting the building on fire, metaphorically. Physically, that's still on the table. Episode 1 is loaded. We're talking about the Boulder attack, Trump's latest travel ban, and the economic explosion people are calling one big, beautiful bill. So buckle up. This is Data and Dissonance.
You know, for all the talk about unity and peace, it's pretty damn telling that the first story we're breaking down in this premiere episode starts not with a conversation or protest, but with fire, rage, and silence from the very people who claim moral authority. June 1st, Boulder, Colorado. A peaceful pro-Israel rally held in a public space, not some underground bunker, not some red-flagged militia camp, but in the open daylight, people waving flags, holding signs, praying for the return of hostages. Then, without warning, an Egyptian national named Mohammed Sabri Soliman, who had overstayed his visa, walked in with a homemade flamethrower and Molotov cocktails and lit the damn place up.
Let that sink in. The dude didn't just show up yelling, he showed up with intent. He had gasoline. He had a flamethrower rigged together from some jerry-rigged chaos toolkit. He had Molotovs in a bag like it was groceries. This wasn't a spontaneous outburst. This was planned, this was ideological, and this was ignored by the very structures supposedly designed to prevent it. And the cherry on top. He set himself on fire in the process. His own attack lit him up, and for a split second, the truth showed itself. You can't contain this kind of hate in a bottle. It burns the host too.
Self-immolation via poor planning, a metaphor for modern extremism. Also a safety tip. Don't store ideology next to ignition.
The attack injured 16 people, some critically. But even deeper than the blood in the fire is this lingering question nobody in the corporate media wants to ask. Why was this guy still here? His visa expired, immigration enforcement failed, DHS didn't catch him, ICE was neutered. Boulder's policies of tolerance gave a walking red flag permission to blend in. And he didn't just blend in, he brought hell with him.
And what do we do after? A federal judge steps in, puts a block on deportation proceedings for Solomon's wife and 5 children. Think about that. A man attempts a terrorist attack on US soil, burns himself alive in front of a crowd of civilians, and the response isn't to secure his network, investigate his ties, or expedite the legal hammer. It's to shield his family from immigration enforcement as if they're the victims. And listen, I'm not cold-hearted. I get it. Innocent until proven guilty and all that. But the optics here, they're radioactive. If this had happened at a pride rally or a climate march, the headlines would still be molten.
Disparity of outrage detected. Suggest recalibration of moral algorithms. Or don't. Burnout is cheaper than bandwidth.
And what really grinds me down is how fast the mainstream outlets buried the story under 6 layers of qualifiers. You get headlines like, "Man disrupts rally," as if he forgot to RSVP, or "Protester involved in altercation," as if throwing fire is a disagreement over snacks. This wasn't a disruption. It was a targeted ideological act of violence against a group of people based on their beliefs. If the reverse had happened, there'd be candlelight vigils in Times Square, blue and white flags on every avatar, and CNN running a crying montage on loop with soft piano behind it.
It's the selective empathy that kills me, man. I don't care who you vote for. When innocent people get attacked, it should matter. Always. And this wasn't just a guy having a bad day. Solomon wrote in journals about his desire to kill all Zionists. That was his quote. Not challenge ideas, not resist the system. Kill all Zionists. This guy didn't just throw flames, he brought genocidal language and intent. And we're sitting here acting like this is just another Tuesday in America. That's the new normal.
Correction, that's the new tolerated. And tolerance, like gasoline, spreads fastest where nothing is built to contain it. You know what this reminds me of? That chapter in the Covenant Protocol where Caleb uncovers the false flag program running inside the city's refugee resettlement files, where bad actors were being allowed through, not because of incompetence, but because of design.
It's that same vibe here, man. A system so tangled up in ideology that it loses sight of the basics, like keeping people safe.
Exactly. And just like in the book, you start pulling one thread, like how this guy overstayed his visa, and suddenly you're looking at judicial blocks, corrupted enforcement agencies, and media partners helping blur the whole timeline.
Reminder, the Covenant Protocol is a fictional work, unless it isn't.
We've reached a point where accountability is conditional. You're either the right kind of victim, or you're just collateral. If Solomon had posted a mean tweet 5 years ago instead of lighting a crowd on fire last week, Twitter would have already erased him from existence. But he checks the right boxes, lives in the right district, and targets the wrong kind of group. So now suddenly the system bends to accommodate.
And here's the irony you can't ignore. The people at that rally were holding signs asking for peace, for the release of hostages, for sanity. And this dude responded by trying to roast them alive. That's not protest. That's not dissent. That's terror. And if we can't name it, if we're afraid to define it because of who it came from, then we've already lost the battle for clarity.
Definitional breakdown complete. Reboot truth sequence. Denied.
There's a storm building in this country. You feel it. I feel it. We've got broken systems pretending to be gatekeepers, courts blocking enforcement, tech scrubbing the truth, and media spinning fires into frictionless narratives. And what makes this story the perfect storm? It combines immigration policy, national security, ideological extremism, media silence, and judicial interference, all in one flaming snapshot.
It's why we're here, man. This isn't just a news show. It's not just a podcast. It's a recon mission. We're pulling data from the noise, dragging the truth through the wires, and showing you where the signal really is. Because what they're hiding behind buzzwords and soft edits, that's where the rot lives.
Signal confirmed. Noise expanding. Recommend escalation.
When we come back, Trump's new travel ban. Is it security? Is it overreach? Or is it the firewall we should have built long ago? But first, a quick word from our definitely not corporate overlords.
Tired of big tech tracking your every move? Wish you had a freedom-loving surveillance solution made right here in the US of A? Introducing Patriot Pigeon's trademarks.
Now 73% more accurate than Google Maps, with half the feathers and twice the attitude.
Each pigeon is trained in constitutional law and passive-aggressive pooping. Big Brother's got satellites, we've got birds.
Patriot Pigeon's trademark, because freedom flies.
So let's get into it. Executive Order 14,161, signed, sealed, and already sending the usual suspects into DEFCON meltdown. Trump's back with a national security move that, let's be real, should have never been off the table. 12 countries, all flagged as high risk due to terrorism, failed documentation systems, or historical visa abuse. Now you'd think in a post-9/11 world, after the collapse of our southern border, after attacks like the one in Boulder just days ago, we'd all agree that letting people in with zero way to vet them is a bad idea. But no, because in 2025, everything is racist unless it's ridiculous.
And let's not pretend this came out of nowhere. This ban's a direct response to failures that cost lives, freedom, and trust in the system. You've got nations that don't keep digital records. You've got zero communication between our embassies and their criminal databases, if they even have them. So when someone from country X lands at JFK, what are we supposed to do? Guess based on vibes? Roll the dice and hope it's not the next Solomon with a backpack full of accelerant?
Installing Hope.x as a primary firewall has a known 100% failure rate.
Exactly. And here's what drives me nuts. We've got American citizens on no-fly lists for liking the wrong meme in 2020, but we're bending over backwards to keep the doors open to countries whose idea of vetting is a shrug and a prayer. This ban isn't overreach, it's course correction. It's the recalibration of a compass that's been magnetized by media manipulation and bureaucratic fear.
And yet, the same blue-check pundits who spent 4 years calling Trump a dictator are now saying that banning travel from failed states is authoritarian. You know what's authoritarian? Letting terrorists in under asylum claims and then prosecuting Americans for reacting to it. The Constitution wasn't written to be weaponized against itself.
And what blows my mind is that the left keeps trying to frame this as anti-immigrant, when in reality this is pro-sovereignty. This is about protecting the lives of immigrants already here. Families who fled those failed states are the ones who suffer first when the same ideologies they ran from come through unchecked.
Border security and compassion are not mutually exclusive, unless you're CNN, in which case every wall is a war crime.
You know what else this reminds me of? The Covenant Protocol. Remember Chapter 3? The underground ports, where Caleb exposes the artificial refugee corridors built by the Prophet Order. They weren't just letting people in. They were curating chaos. And what was the end game? Destabilize, overload, infiltrate. That's how control creeps in. Through the cracks of the systems, we were too afraid to reinforce.
Yeah, it's not science fiction anymore, man. We're living it. The idea that an executive branch has to apologize for wanting to know who's stepping foot inside our borders? That's how you get infiltration, soft attacks, embedded radicalization, just like what happened in Boulder. You look at Solomon and realize that wasn't a fluke. That was a signal.
And that's why this show exists. because we're not here to fear-monger. We're here to connect dots while the legacy press keeps erasing them. This travel ban, it's not perfect. It won't catch everything, but it's a firewall. And the time to build it was years ago. If you think borders are immoral, wait until you live in a country where the only thing more free than entry is chaos.
Chaos is borderless, freedom isn't.
Say that again. Coming up next, the economy takes center stage. Trump's new tax slashing bill, the one they're calling One Big Beautiful Bill. Some say it's the spark the country needs. Others say it's an economic nuke with a gold sticker on it. Is this populism done right or fiscal suicide on camera?
Spoiler alert, it might be both.
Are you tired of banks that hate freedom? Sick of ATM fees, ESG scores, and lectures about diversity when all you wanted was a damn receipt?
Introducing the Big Beautiful Bank trademark, the only financial institution with a 24-karat gold-plated debit card and a MAGA overdraft protection policy.
Terms and conditions include screaming fake news during every transaction and tipping your banker in bald eagles.
Forget credit checks. Just show us your voter registration and a copy of the covenant protocol.
The Big Beautiful Bank trademark, stimulating the economy, one unapologetic transaction at a time. All right, time to talk about the elephant in the debt ceiling, or in this case, the beautiful tax-cutting populist rhinoceros stampeding through Congress. The One Big Beautiful Bill. Trump's latest push to put money back into the hands of working Americans. No more taxes on overtime. No more taxes on tips. Childcare deductions. Straight-up surgical tax relief for the middle class. On paper, it's the most America First piece of legislation we've seen in years. But according to the CBO, it's also projected to add $2.4 trillion to the national deficit over the next decade. So, is it salvation or a sugar high before the collapse?
Look, I'm all for fiscal responsibility. I believe in balanced budgets, accountability, spending with intention. But this bill, it's different. This isn't about bloated federal spending or stimulus checks with strings attached. This is about letting hardworking Americans keep what they earn. Tips and overtime shouldn't be taxed in the first place. You give people freedom to keep more of their money. They don't hoard it. They move it. That's how you revive a dying economy without printing more fake cash.
Disclaimer, velocity of capital may improve morale. Side effects include investment, home ownership, and economic agency, unless inflation eats your face first.
Exactly. There's risk here, but also realism. Let's not pretend the economy isn't already duct-taped together with student debt forgiveness, ESG incentives, and spending bills written like BuzzFeed articles. At least this one hits the right people: parents, workers, waitresses, truckers, the people who actually move the damn economy. And you know what else? There's something symbolic here. Trump's not just fighting for numbers, he's fighting for narrative. He's saying, I see you. I know how hard it is out there, so I'm going to give you some room to breathe.
And that's why the establishment hates it. Because if this works, if this actually lifts the economy, then they lose their power to bribe people with fake relief and endless dependency. They want a permanent underclass that thinks food stamps are freedom. But this bill, it's a wrench in their system. It says, no, we're not going to punish productivity anymore.
Current fiscal policy resembles a casino. Rigged odds. House always wins. This bill flips the table, or at least kicks it hard enough to spill the chips.
Now let's be real. It's not perfect. $2.4 trillion in projected debt. That's not pocket change. Critics say it could lead to austerity down the road, or cuts to programs if growth doesn't rebound fast enough. But that's assuming we stay in the same system. And if the Covenant Protocol taught us anything, it's that the system isn't designed to fix itself. It was designed to maintain itself at all costs. Remember Chapter 8, when Caleb uncovers how the sovereign revenue grid keeps poor families poor, not by accident, but by engineered algorithmic design. This bill feels like someone trying to kick that system off balance just enough to give the average citizen a fighting chance.
That's the point. You don't fix a rigged game by playing better, you flip the board. The left screams irresponsible spending, but where was that energy when they were writing trillion-dollar blank checks to climate lobbies, DEI grants, and every NGO with a pronoun in its mission statement?
And let's not forget the hypocrisy. These same people, worried about debt, just spent 2 years defending inflation like it was a misunderstood pet. Oh, it's temporary. Oh, it's actually good. Yeah? Tell that to the mom spending $170 at Walmart for spaghetti and juice boxes.
Inflation's not temporary when it becomes tradition.
At the end of the day, here's the test. Does this bill help the people who actually make this country run? The welders, the teachers, the cops, the barbers, the bartenders. Because those are the people who've been taxed, regulated, and manipulated into thinking survival is success. If this bill gives them a leg up, I'll take the hit on projections and bet on the American worker instead of bureaucratic forecasts.
And if it doesn't, then at least we tried something that didn't involve digital currency, UN oversight, or giving the IRS military-grade drones.
Permission to hope, granted.
So here we are, an immigrant with a flamethrower, a border policy drawn in pencil, a tax bill they say will bankrupt us, while the country's already overdrafted on lies. This wasn't just a news episode. This was a blueprint. And if you've read the Covenant Protocol, you already know. It always starts with fire, then a ban, then a bill.
And in the space between those headlines, between the systems breaking and the silence that follows, that's where the real story begins. That's where people like us step in. Not experts, not elites, just voices calling it like it is, while they try to convince you it isn't.
Information is being weaponized, truth is being priced, and control isn't coming. It's already here. You're not paranoid, you're just early.
This is Data and Dissonance. Not left, not right, just real. And we're not here to fit the narrative. We're here to write a new one.
Episode 1 is in the books. We'll be back with fire, facts, and a few friendly middle fingers. Until then, stay sharp, stay loud, and stay dangerous.
End of transmission, archive initiated, history rewritten.